Oh, hello there. Yes, I keep hoping you are the same as me, and I'll send you letters and come to your house for tea. Yeah, the Sundays, they were good, weren't they? Yeah, that's a perfect first album. Buy it. There we go. Anyway, today I want to talk about wild animals and nefarious immigrants. Oh yes. There are sections of the British media, like there are vast sections of the American media, that don't want to diss the Don. They don't want to say anything nasty about Donald Trump because he's on our side of that particular line between good and bad people. So obviously he can do no wrong. So rather than basically laughing at him, as I think most sensible people should do at the moment, they have decided, at least in part, to kind of double-ish down. About his claims. Our Don has recently moved on from Haitians eating cats and dogs in Springfield. No, not the Simpsons. There are loads of Springfields in America. There's about 30. It's just one of them. It's in Ohio. To suggesting that they're taking geese, okay? Which has led to things like this online of a bloke carrying a goose. The problem with this is there's no evidence he's a Haitian, and it's been identified as being about 50 miles away from Springfield. So, yes, but anyway, he is black and he is carrying a bird, so that must mean that such things are true. Various people have, been suggesting that people from Haiti, because they are black, have low IQs and low moral standards and voodoo and loads of other things, which are all bad, okay? I did have to smile at this, pointing out that Haiti is largely deforested and the glorious, lovely Dominican Republic next door isn't, which just proves how bad Haitians are. However, for the racists amongst you, the two populations aren't enormously different. Haiti does have a higher black population, and the Dominican Republic is strange because they count things differently, so it's hard to say, but have basically a very, very, very mixed population. Okay? Yes, which means they're less bad, presumably. That's the way that works. And you might want to just check out the actual geographical location of those things. So Haiti very much falls into the American sphere of influence. And like most of the islands in that part of the world that fall into the American sphere of influence, it's incredibly poor. It's the poorest place, basically, in the Northern Hemisphere. And, yeah, it's the sort of place that you'd go on holiday to Afghanistan from there for a bit of a break. It's a very blighted country one way or another. You make up your minds about that. It's either got to do with it's got loads of black people in it, or it could be a colonialism. Make up your own minds, okay? You can be a racist if you want to. There you go. But, so this caught my eye yesterday. It was Talk TV kind of doubling down somewhat. About migrants eating birds, all right? Okay, so there's this. In response to Donald Trump's claim about Haitian immigrants eating pets, journalist J.J. Anibose says he's seen migrants eating swans in East London. Yes, okay, and you can, there's a link down below so you can have a look at that for yourself. But the problem with that is that he's talking about Eastern Europeans. Now, yes, okay then. I mean, you can see that JJ himself is very much a natural, native-born Londoner. We can tell that instantaneously about him, so it's not the sort of thing that he'd do. But this does just feed into that kind of generic thing about outsiders and the things they do, because what they do, being generic outsiders, preferably black, but if you can't find any black ones, the Eastern Europeans will do, and I'll come on to that in just a second. Yeah, is that they, to ensure that they're not like us, they must have bad culinary habits, okay? The French eat snails, so we can have a go at them. The Koreans eat dogs. The Chinese will eat anything. In fact, they'll eat cats and dogs in their takeaways. Yeah, everybody knows that to be true, don't they? Anyway, a few days ago I did mention of my own sort of experience of this. I used to live in a tiny speck of nothing on the outskirts of, not the outskirts actually, but a bit in the countryside in the sort of northwest of Cambridge, about 10 miles from the city, called Erith, which is one of those very, very strange English towns. For movie fans amongst you may recall The Slaughtered Lamb from An American Werewolf in London. It had that kind of quality to it. Anyway, whilst I was living there for, I don't know, less than a year, but anyway, 2014 I think it was, there was a local story which blew up into a national story, okay? It was picked up by the Beeb and the Metro and the Telegraph because some local ducks on the duck pond, I used to go past the duck pond every day, it was just up the road from where I lived, all that stuff, because everything was just up the road from where I lived. It's a one-pub town. Yeah. The only time I went to the pub there, the locals just stared at me and my mate, so we went to sit outside because it had that vibe to it. Anyway, don't like foreigners. Anyway, yeah. Anyway, some ducks disappeared, okay? The locals there, the local parish council, were utterly convinced that it was the Poles what had done it, okay? So let's have a look at this. Parish councillor Ron Hodge, what a great name. Yeah, great name, great guy, said the thought is that it's migrant workers who are taking them so they can eat them, but there's just no way to prove it. Thanks, Daily Telegraph, for printing that then. They've come in and got a line and hook with bread on it and lured them in before snatching them. It's one of those things. No one sees it and no one reports it, so it keeps happening. As far as I can make out from these stories, it's 4 birds that went missing in about a week. Okay? Anyway, fellow councillor Terry Rogers said, I think if Mr. Hodge thinks it's migrant workers, he's probably right. Yes, of course he must be. Our Ron lived just down the road from me, yeah. The ducks are not the first things to have been stolen in the village. Let's just say that Christmas is coming up, so I'm not surprised the ducks have gone. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. We know how bad those Poles are. Or are they Haitians? Or are they from the Dominican Republic? Or are they natural-born Londoners who are just black? I don't know. It gets confusing, doesn't it? Yes. One villager, who asked not to be named, said there are a lot of agricultural workers around here. No one else would bother to steal ducks to eat. The likelihood is they're migrant workers, probably Eastern Europeans, as they're the people who do most of the field work. The incidents have not yet been reported to the police. Yes, anyway, this nefarious open case, which it isn't because he hasn't been reported to the police, basically was a sort of one-shot pony. No more ducks disappeared, as far as I can make out. And every time I used to go past the duck pond, like 3 times a week, there were always loads of ducks on it. But you do have to think to yourself, okay, if people are eating wild fowl because they're hungry, how long is it before there are none left? Because it wouldn't take many people to decimate one town's small duck pond on the basis of a duck a day, let's say. That's it. However, when you get to geese and swans, I'm sorry, but I wouldn't go anywhere near a geese or a swan. All right, where I live in the north of Cambridge there's a lot of waterway, so we have an awful lot of swans around here. Oddly enough, because we also have a lot of Polish agricultural workers, or we used to. They're now Romanians who may or may not be better or worse genetically in terms of foul deeds. I don't know. Again, I get confused by these things where the hierarchies of racism come in. But it really wouldn't, you with all of them around here, you'd expect them to make a dent in the local swan population or whatever it might be. But the point about this is, how long is it before basically you end up with no swans? It wouldn't take a great number of people on an economic scale to decimate a local swan population, and yet they're still all over the place here, and they're still all over the place in London, and I'm willing to bet are all over the place in Springfield, along with lots of cats and dogs. Because these things need not ever be true, or they are partially true. I must admit that I once met an Italian bloke in Italy who confessed that once in London when he was hungry he did catch a pigeon and break its neck and prepped it up at home. But that was an Italian. Does that count? I don't know. You see, that's the inherent problem, isn't it? That it doesn't really matter if these stories are true or not, because so long as you can find a reason why Haitians shouldn't be there, and by the way, the Springfield Haitians are legal people. Donnie Trump has been lying about their illegal status. They're actually legally there, but it doesn't really matter, because the important thing, of course, is that they're different from us, and as such should be the subject of ethnic cleansing. Indeed. Anyway, do have a lovely Sunday. Yeah, Sunday. Yeah, go on. Go and play the album. Go on, Blind. What a good one that was. Yeah, go and do it. Go on. And then go to church. What a good idea.